Half joking in my head about just not coming up here and seeing how many times you could do the riff before you finally just stopped.
It's magic.
What was that?
I said it seems like he has a hard time stopping.
Yeah, no, oops, this is not what I wanted. I wanted to just keep that going and going and going. Okay, I was looking for an email that I just got this morning and it just disappeared on me. All right, well, instead, I apparently have an email about how I have received $10 million from Nigeria, so we could talk about that. Lorna, I know you're here, Lorna, on the Zoom. I was going to read your email. There we go, I found it. Okay. All right, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm obviously Scott, and I'll do the announcements here before we get into the contemplative meditation. Put myself on a gallery. Okay, here we go. I'm so afraid of touching this computer because I don't know what it's going to do.
There you go. Well, that's what it's going to do.
That's what it's going to do. We found out that it is a Microsoft problem. Wow, who would have ever thought there was a Microsoft problem? Okay. Of course, I cannot see the screen. I can see me now, so that's...
Oh, you have to share the PowerPoint.
Ah, there we go. Let's do that too. And there's PowerPoint slide. Ta-da. And share. That's me.
And then we don't have any kids today?
Okay, it's just immature people. Okay. We are very ginger about how we touch this. Okay, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. Let's take a quick moment. This is not funny. This is serious stuff here.
I want to pin this one.
God wanted us to laugh, the world wouldn't look the way it looks.
Oh, I am pinned. Why is it not giving me?
I have no idea what my sidekick is doing here. Okay. All right. Take a deep breath. Get centered, please. And picture your intention for today's service. Keep that top of mind and forefront. as we say what is in front of us on the screen together. We are a welcoming community where the vibration of love lifts us, the wisdom of the ages inspires us, and the science of mind teaching empowers us. Turn to somebody else and say, I honor that here this morning. Welcome everybody who's here. Welcome everybody who is virtual on Zoom. We're glad you continue to show up. Let's see here. What was that one for? All right, let's move forward. Oops, wait, I'm not supposed to touch certain things now. I'm doing what I was told to do, and it's not cooperating.
Don't push the button. There you go.
I touched the arrow. I didn't touch the trackpad. I used the arrow. Okay, our announcements for the week, as you can see, and I have another one to add in here. This just in from Lorna. I will just read this short email, and then Lorna, if you want to post anything in the chat room, feel free to do so. Speaking of which, Lorna, since I know you're here, and I saw Vicki was here too, if either one or both of you would just send me a count, because I'm not able to get an accurate count of how many people are attending, and we track that. So at the end of the day, end of the service. Okay, from Lorna, it says, here is what I understand from the family of my neighbor Yvette, whose belongings are coming to the center on August 13th. They will have at least one pickup and a number of strong young adults to move the furniture, so they're, I guess, looking for old, feeble other people. What they would like is someone who's familiar with the center to help decide where in the social hall the furnishings will go. These are going to be donated to Twice Nice. She thinks there will be a recliner, 2 or 3 large chests of drawers, incidental side tables, also a lovely corner display, and for whatnots. They don't know what time it will occur, but it'll be before 11 a.m. on August 13th. So if we have a volunteer who would like to make sure that they are here, he or she is here, to accept what will be donated to us, that would be great. Speaking of volunteers, the center runs on volunteers. We need volunteers to help Randy in the back with sound. We need volunteers to help as greeters. We need volunteers in any way, shape, or form that you can volunteer. If you would be willing to volunteer, I guess talk to me afterwards. I'll do a temporary list. And if you do volunteer, please honor your volunteerism. That's important to us also. Junior church, again, we don't have anybody young here today, or at least that young. Thank you for being willing to be our junior church teacher. We've also got our yoga with Kathy again. It's Thursday at 11. Last time I said she wasn't here and I was wrong, and she's still not here. Okay. Next up is next weekend with a corn dog for breakfast. And he's got, yes, but it's first thing I put, a waffle and a corn dog for breakfast. Somebody needs to teach this person slightly better eating habits.
Maybe it's brunch.
This guy does not look like he's brunching. When I used to be a Weight Watcher leader, one of my really young members, he was probably about 19, he got on the Lucky Charms with Pepsi diet. That was his morning breakfast. Lost 100 pounds, but I don't know if he was healthy. So next week we are meeting on Zoom as Angelica drives down to Eureka. So we would, those of us here will be the Zoom people, and the Eureka people will be the real people. We have got Art with Louise, masking and color lifting intro, and that's going to be August 20th. Louise, did you want to take 30 seconds or so and come up here and explain that? And when we say 30 seconds, the timing started from when you got up. So I'm sorry your time is up. Thank you for your announcement.
Well, just to explain, masking has nothing to do with these. So it's a beginner class. You don't have to have any experience. Just let me know. I will send you any handouts that I have, possibly via attachments, or I will send you a supply list. It's very simple. There's one of the pictures we could probably be doing. That's showing there with the birch trees. So it'll be fun, and I encourage anyone who's interested, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. And that is online as always. Okay, so Ukiah folks, jump on in. Our Twice Nice annual well, I guess it's back to being an annual sale, excuse me, is Friday, August 26th and the 27th. We need volunteers. Sadly for me, I have an opening night at NCRT that night. So I got hands going up. So yes, Bro, did you want to say something, or are you volunteering, or? Okay.
Again.
Can you come? If you'll come up here, or I will repeat everything you say. I will.
Make you do this.
More stairs.
No. As usual, I'll be running the jewelry operation on the Twice Nice sale, and we start collecting anytime. Just to give you a little taste, I brought a little selection of bracelets and necklaces and earrings out there. If you fancy any one of them, please, by all means, take it. And there's a little basket. You should just leave a donation. It'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Bro.
Oh, and anything you have to donate, let me know.
So volunteers would see Angelica if you are willing to volunteer. It is a big operation. It's probably the biggest operation of Eureka Center for Spiritual Living International Enterprises, but it does take a lot of people, and please, if you can find any time, be there. Next up, go to this one, Backpacks for Bridge House. Are we having an update? Okay, or in this case, front packs from Bridge House, as Bev comes forward.
Or belly pack.
Belly pack.
Yeah. Okay. I got this one yesterday in the mail. The backpacks are lovely this year, and I have about half of the stuffings already purchased, so it'll be another couple little trips out, and we'll have them ready to go. School starts, I believe, on the 22nd or something this year, so this will be the last time, except for next week on Zoom, if I say anything, which I probably won't then. So if you haven't made your donations, please give a little something to the center. These will be going to the kids over at Bridge House, which is part of RCAA PACT program, Parents and Children in Transition, and is for back to school backpacks. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Our bookstore special, 20% off all books except for Reverend Angelica's. And the question was asked, how do you pay for a book? Because we had somebody who wanted
Today you would talk to Catherine.
talk to Catherine, who's over there. Okay, walking off. Wonderful. So
Sorry, walking off.
if you want to buy a book or more or plenty, see Walking Awe. And oops, the Little Pantry, of course, another way we contribute to our local community. The Little Pantry needs to be fed so it can feed others. Donations are always welcome of non-perishable goods.
Thank you to everybody who brings stuff in.
Yes, they go very, very quickly. So Rick, it doesn't look like I'll be doing that other announcement for right now, or you won't be.
I would like to say something.
Would you still like to say something? Come forth and say.
Is there a way to see the gallery to see if those in Amy are watching?
I can't see that.
Can we see the gallery to see if Edward and Amy are watching? Otherwise, I think we should wait for this.
Yeah, that's. Edward and Amy, are you there?
Well,
Or Amy?
You could go out of that and look.
Stop share. Look at me learning how this works.
and then go
And
to,
then go to gallery.
Oh yeah, if he doesn't know, we're lost.
okay.
I know on my computer.
Okay, I don't see him.
Nope, I don't see him.
Okay, well, I will just say,
Although there are a lot of very attractive faces there.
every month we are going to honor a member with a Member of the Month acknowledgement, and this is for Amy's for this month, and we also have a framed copy, and we will put those in the lobby. And this is for her, every month she does the altar. And so we're going to have 2 thank you cards, because one's already filling up. I'll leave those on the front table, so just sign it. Yeah, on your way out, just please sign it, and if you want to add a note, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just sign it. Thank you.
And Amy, wherever you are, thank you. Back to this, back to this, back to this. Ta-da, look at that. Okay, that's it for the little pantry. And now we move on with our, oh dear, now we're back to this nonsense. Aha, back to our theme for August.
So good.
Thank you. Our theme for August is nature. I had to have the turtle in there and I forgot to put it in, so we had to revise it to have a turtle. But I wanted a peaceful relationship with all that is around, and this image just really spoke to me. So our contemplative meditation will be led by Susan with music by Jackson. Oh, there you are, Susan. Are you coming forward?
Are you ready for it?
Yes, I'm ready.
I can breathe. So, good morning, Zoomers. Good morning, everybody here. It's good to see you all. My reading this morning is from somebody called Scott McLennan, who I've never heard of before, but he wrote a book called Jesus Was a Liberal. So I invite you all to get comfortable in your chairs, feel yourself grounded, and know that right here, right now, you are open and receptive to all that the universe has to offer you. All of us, bright atheists and committed religionists, need to wake up now and hear the earth call. We need to give and receive as love shows us how. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Give heed to the voices of the suffering. Awaken our consciences with justice as our guide, and work toward a planet transformed by our care.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
And what a wonderful knowing, to know that, yes, we are all the face of God. We are all the hands, the feet, the eyes, and the voice of God. And so as we go out forth and express our godliness, I know that every person we look at, we recognize the face of God. Every flower, every tree, every animal, every being, the face of God. With the stars shining, with the moon and the sun going around this earth orb of ours that we are here to protect, that we are here to love, to support as it supports us. And so I know that this gathering today understands this, it knows it, and it does in its own, each of us in our own little ways, whatever we can to do to support nature, to support our communities, to support our families, and the lives of those around us. And so I just honor this gathering. I honor all of us who are here today. I bless each one. Those that cannot make it, I know that they are blessed and in this with us. And so I just simply let today's gathering unfold, knowing that it is right, it is perfect, and it is good. And so it is.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
And so all you smiling God faces, I now ask you to welcome Reverend Angelica.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all today. My talk this morning is, as you noticed earlier with that beautiful little drawing slide, the slide for nature that Scott did. Hasn't he done a good job all for the last few years on those monthly slides? I love it. So we're focusing on nature. And the talk this morning is called Earth Force, Report for Duty. So, as we're exploring this idea of nature this month, I want us first to look at our planet. This is our home, right? This is such a large part of our day-to-day life. And, what would we do? Well, where would we be if we weren't here on this particular planet? And I think that, as I wrote here, this month is about nature, and our invitation is to explore and deepen our connection with God as everything and everyone on this amazing planet. So, I'm going to stop the share, and I don't need to narrate what I'm doing. I got to remember that. So, it seems like we take life on this planet for granted. And so when I ask you about life itself, I wonder what you think about it. If you think for a moment about what your definition of life is. Now, if you immediately jump to the idea that life is humanity, humankind, that's a start. But there is so much more to life than just us beings. So when we think about life, we have to ask ourselves, what about the animals and the plants and the insects and the microorganisms that live in the dirt and the air and all around us? What about the lakes and the rivers and the oceans? What about the mountains and the dirt under our feet? All of us who are gardeners have this feeling, at least I do anyway, of life being absolutely in every handful of dirt, in every bush, in every weed, in everything. Life is absolutely in everything. And Dr. Holmes says, the ultimate cause back of all things must be one, and he's got one capitalized. So it's important, right? The ultimate cause back of all things must be one, since life cannot be divided against itself. The infinite must be one, for there could not be two infinite beings. Whatever change takes place must take place within this one. But this one must be changeless, for being one and only, it could not change into anything but itself. So this planet and the rocks and the insects and the birds and the animals and the people, the bacteria, everything is all part of this oneness. There's nothing that's not part of this oneness. And when I was thinking about this idea, I was thinking about how life on this planet is symbiotic. And it's a living harmony. If you allow the earth to do its own thing and, don't try to change things. For instance, I remember in Hawaii, the first thing a person would do when they moved to the island and they bought a piece of property, because for a while on the Big Island, property was really cheap. You could get an acre for about $5,000. They would bring in machinery and shave everything off of that piece of property. All the palm trees and, the native bushes, etc., they'd just clear it. And then quite a few times I noticed in my walks around my neighborhood that I'd be really disappointed. It would make me feel sad. I could almost feel the land mourning itself. And then I would notice that, I don't know whether it was because they hadn't got the financing for their mortgages or whatever, but it would take a while for the house to start being built. And do you know what the land did? It took it back. It seemed almost instant that even if it was a whole, the Big Island is a volcano, two of them actually, and there's dirt is like a premium. When I first moved into the piece of property I was living on, I was thinking, oh wow, look at those weeds, this is really good ground. And then I go out to start pulling those weeds, and the dirt is maybe this hot, this thick, and then underneath that it's like clang goes the shovel, because it's volcanic rock. But even in this rocky atmosphere, these plants find a way to come back within a couple of weeks. So there's something alive there, right? And it's like a living harmony between the rocks and the plants and the birds, the animals, all of it. And I think sometimes when I would see that instant shaving of the ground, that we have lost our connection to the land. The more indigenous people, as they used to call them in Canada, the First Nations, they don't ever seem to lose that connection. But we are, a portion of us is about getting more things, creating more stuff, and we forget about the preciousness of our planet. I think in that forgetting about the preciousness, we then create a division. And then we begin to forget that the planet that we live on is feeding us, it's nurturing us, it's caring for us. Maybe right now it doesn't seem to be like that with the tornadoes and floods and all these things. But I thought about that last night when I was hearing about the recent floods. I think it was in Kentucky. Every time I take a shower or I go like that, I'm disturbing a whole bunch of living organisms that live on my skin. And so are you. And so maybe the earth is going, right? Moving it off. So of course I have 3 ideas as usual. So the first idea is one I've already had you think about, was what is your definition of life? And one of the things I've thought about is that I've mentioned as well, is that every cell in your body is a cell in the body of the divine. Is a cell in this body of energy. And we're a cell in the earth's body. You know, there's like the macrocosm and the microcosm. Everything that there is. I mean, you might look at the mountains and think that they're not alive. That yes, there's trees growing on them, etc. That part is life, but the actual mountain itself is not. And yet if you talk to a geologist, they will tell you that mountain is growing. It maybe grows an inch a year, but it's constantly growing or expanding. Everything is. So it's like a galaxy in this body, a galaxy in the larger body, a galaxy in the galaxies, like that picture that I showed you a week or so ago. We're a reflection of the whole thing. Almost like every single one of us is a miniature Earth. And so how are we taking care of this Earth? Also reflects as to how we're taking care of this Earth, the greater Earth. My second idea is that, so the first idea was everything's living. There's nothing that's not alive. God is life. So there can't be anything that isn't living. Even if you say, oh, but that microphone or that computer or the stage, whatever, they're not alive. Yes, they are. And I mentioned this last week, that if you were to take a slice or go down with a microscope into a certain level, you would find atoms in there that are alive. The second idea is that life is always in balance and it's always in alignment with itself. Again, it might not seem to look like that because of the various weather things that are happening on our planet, the diseases, the pandemics, etc. And yet, everything is interdependent. Absolutely everything is interdependent. We're all connected. So I read this thing that said there's small organisms in water and air that we're dependent on. Plants and trees provide oxygen and food, and humans then use the oxygen and food to survive while creating carbon dioxide and waste products that fertilize and feed the other life forms. Water, air, and earth are vital to the survival and health of all. So when we're thinking about this whole, we're part of this balance, we're part of this system of life on this planet, and all of life is precious. Absolutely all of life is precious. And the third idea is that life is always expanding, growing, and evolving. Just like we're always expanding, growing, and evolving. I mean, I think that is like gaining weight, but then again, you know, a baby comes out like this big, right? And that was us once. And here we are. Like I'm 5'7", so that little baby became this person here. It's always expanding, growing, and evolving. The theory of evolution is actually based on the idea that everything is always growing and expanding over time. And life everywhere is changing according to its environment. So when the planet has too much rain, or an area has too much rain, then things seem to grow really well, or they flood out and they don't. If it has too little rain and too much sun, then they become plants like cactus and things that store water inside of them so that they can live. The ability for life to remake itself, to live in whatever environment it is a form of evolution. Dr. Holmes says in the textbook, the progress of the human race is a result of that process whereby intelligence, with a capital I, which means divine intelligence, passes. The progress of the human race is a result of that process whereby intelligence passes by successive degrees of incarnation through evolution into the human mind. So I wouldn't say we're the top level of incarnate life on this planet. You know, you think about the whales and the dolphins and the creatures of the ocean, they're really smart. They have bigger brains than we do. And maybe we can't understand them, we can't talk to them like we talk to each other, but you can communicate with them, and it's pretty amazing when you do that. I have felt that I could communicate with all kinds of animals since I was a child. I was always told, oh, you have such an active imagination. Well, who knew whether it was real or not? I did. But this whole idea of ever expanding, growing, and evolving, I've been, some of you know that I have a pet nanny service. I go and I take care of people's animals while they're away. Well, I have one client who lives at a very high, he lives on the top of a mountain or a hill. When you stand on his side yard, I can look down through all these trees or over all these trees into a bay and into, I think it's the South Jetty. It's either the South or the North one, I don't know. But Doctor told me that if he walks down his property, which is really huge, for 15 minutes he would be at College of the Redwoods. So that's where I am, above College of the Redwoods, right? So what is that? Is that the South Jetty out there? Okay, so the South Jetty. I went, wow, look at that little strip of land there. And he's going, oh, you could drive on that. It's not a little strip. But anyway, and then yesterday I'm looking and there's all these waves going over it. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'd want to be driving on it right now. But the reason why I'm telling you about this picture that I look at is that every day I go and I sit out on that lawn. He's got furniture out there. And he has these two wonderful little doggies, and one of the dogs loves to sit with me. So I sit with this dog and I just watch. And do you know that I have been doing this almost every weekend this whole summer? So for 2 full months now, and it has never been the same. The water's a different color, the clouds are different. One day I'm sitting there and I swear the clouds were moving like this. They were so fast, I couldn't believe it. I thought, maybe I better get down off this mountain before the rain comes. Because most of it is a dirt road, and that's why my car is so dirty. I've actually washed it a couple times in between these visits, but it's pretty dirty. But it just blows me away. I'm looking at the same view every day, and not once has it been the same. The water's either up high, the water's different colors, the clouds are different colors, the fog has rolled in. It's just amazing to me. And to think that this kind of stuff is going on all around us and we don't even notice it. All around his home is quite forested. And you can walk in this forest really easily. And one of the things I love about this particular job is this little dog, one of them that I'm working with, loves to walk around the forest with me. And every day it seems like I'm hearing different birds or different sounds. It's just amazing to me. And then I look at all of this stuff, and then yesterday sitting there thinking about the planet and the life that's on this planet and this view that I'm looking at, and I'm looking down at grass, really nice, manicured grass, knowing that there's little insects in this grass everywhere that I can't see. Looking down a little bit where it's more weedy, more natural grass, and thinking, and there's different insects in that. And looking further down into the forest, into the trees, and knowing there's different life in that. And then looking out into the ocean and thinking, oh my goodness, there's life I've never even seen out there. It just amazed me, and I remembered that as I've been looking at this, life is always in balance. It takes care of itself. We're the ones that displace that sense of balance. So as we go through this month on nature, my feeling is that each one of us, I would like each one of us to start acknowledging the life that is absolutely everywhere around you, even if it's flies. You go visit some horses, there's so many flies. But they are necessary to the balance of the planet. So every continent, every country, every ocean, every river, every sea, every cell, every bird, tree, animal, mineral, pyramid, temple, chakra, atmosphere, and all other aspects of this magnificent creation that we call home is precious. And what we do to it, we're doing to ourselves. I want us to remember that. Because David Bohm, who's a quantum physicist, said, in some sense, humanity is a micronism of the universe. Therefore, what humanity is a clue to the universe. Now, who do you want to be? Do you want to be one that walks lightly on the planet? I know that I do. And so I ask you, what can you do? What can we do to cultivate and nourish this relationship with Mother Earth? So I have a homework assignment. In fact, I'm going to say Earth Force, that's who we are, call to duty, report for duty. So if you can envision a world that works for everybody, not just humanity, but all of life, there's things that have to be done. For instance, when you go on a walk, or if you're walking from the parking lot to Safeway or Winco or the mall or wherever you might be going, and there's paper there, don't leave it for somebody else to pick up. Pick it up. Put it in the nearest trash can. That's one simple little thing that we can do to help this planet. And I'm sure there's many more. Probably each one of us has a different idea about what we could do. But I want you to do something. Maybe it might be putting bird seed out, though this season they don't really need it. Put water out. I have this bowl of water, one in my front yard and one in my backyard. And yes, some pharaohs live around my house, but I know that there's raccoons using it as well, because it's really dirty in the mornings. They've been washing something. But, and when the weather's hot, it's not as bad for us, thank goodness, as it is in Los Angeles or wherever. But wherever it is hot, Ukiah, perhaps you might want to put a bowl of water out for the birds. That would be helping our planet. So think about something that you could do. And what I want you to do is remember that it's all divine energy made manifest. It's all God. There isn't anything here that isn't God. It's all life, because that's what God is life. So it's important for us to remember that it's not just us. It's everything. It's the rocks. Let me ask you something. I have an affinity for rocks. And have you ever been doing gardening or whatever, and this rock right here wants to go someplace else? And you don't need to move it. You're not going to plant anything there, but you can feel that it wants to go someplace else. Well, pick it up and move it. Let yourself help out the stone people, as my lady friend from Argentina calls them. The stone people. Remember, what we do for our planet, we're doing to and for ourselves, both good and bad. So let's do that which is good, that which is healing. Allow yourself to listen to the planet, because it'll tell you what it needs. The space around you will tell you what it needs, and you'll be able to feel it in your body. If you can't actually hear words, you'll feel something. So pay attention. Part of this whole idea of the earth force reporting for duty, to me, is paying attention. Allowing ourselves to be present in our lives, in every area of our life. And so let's look at the affirmation that we have this morning. The affirmations today, this month, are written by Edward. Let's say this together and then we'll go into treatment. Wait. Let me move this one here. Come on. Oh well, I guess it ends there anyway. I see myself and know myself to be divine. My mirror reflects a perfect manifestation of God looking back. I take full responsibility for all the choices I make. I choose who I am, how I will act and react to life's situations, and what type of life I choose to live. I determine where my life goes and who I am now. So gratefully I remember that all there is life. That absolutely everything, everywhere, is alive. It is all divine energy, made manifest. And so I allow myself this week, speaking for each one of us, if you choose to accept it, just allow yourself to. I choose to allow myself to acknowledge the divinity in life itself. And as I look around myself, I realize that everything is alive at some level. And so I acknowledge this morning, I'll acknowledge the life that is in this building, not only sitting in the chairs, but the chairs and the floor and the building structure, the life that's all around it, the grass and the plants, life. And as I acknowledge life, life blossoms. It grows, it expands, it becomes even more of itself as that particular thing. And as I move out into my day, I recognize that even the car that I sit in is alive. It might look like metal, a machine, but the truth is, once again, at the quantum level, it is alive. It is energy. It is life. It is God itself. And so I acknowledge that. And as I drive on the roads, as I head back to my home or to the store or wherever I might be going, I see it's all life, all divine energy. And I choose to honor nature with every fiber of my being. I let myself recognize that I am part of nature, that I am a caretaker of nature, And so I celebrate nature, not just in the trees and the animals and the insects and the people and the things that I've previously thought were alive, but I recognize, as they said in that song, the hills are alive. Everything is alive. And I acknowledge it as all God. And as I allow myself to do whatever it is I can to honor Mother Nature this week, as I pick up those papers that need to go in the trash, I think, this too is God. Everything is divine. And so with a grateful heart, I am so blessed. We are so blessed by living on this beautiful planet, by being surrounded and humbled with all these trees, with all this wonderful nature, with being able to go outside and breathe in clean air, drink clean water. So I'm grateful, so very grateful for being a part of nature. And as I celebrate nature, I release these words into divine law, knowing that they are already happening, that the earth is already feeling our love, our blessings, our gratitude, and that Mother Nature honors us tremendously. And we're grateful for that as well. And so it is. I thought of something. I want you to look for a sign from Mother Nature this week, today. Look for a sign. Maybe it might be a butterfly that comes to you. Maybe it might be a hummingbird where you don't normally see hummingbirds. You will know what your sign is, because I want you to have something tangible that is uniquely your own, so that you remember how important you are to this planet and how important this planet is to you. So we have a great musician singing for us this morning. Let's welcome up Les Craig. So are you going to be able to, Marvin, do I need to change it to anything, or you can change it? Oh, I need to change it to the different camera.
Sound check. Hello. Are we here?
Yep, you're up there.
You are, I am, you are, I am, we are a grain of sand embracing galaxies. That's just reality. You are, I am, you are, we are a blinking time, looking at eternity, gazing at the mysteries, together as one, never alone, all our infinite home knows who we are. You are, I am, you are, I am, we are. The breath of God playing on an instrument. We don't know the tune yet. God plays jazz. You are, I am, you are, we are so wild and free. Drops of water in the sea, and yet still you and me. Together as one, another alone. All our infinite home knows who we are. Together as one, alive in the one love. Everything we are made of came from a star. Every blade of grass turning with the seasons, dances to the same wind all over the world. Every blade of grass turning with the seasons, dances to the same wind all over the world, all over the world. All over the world.
So, I know that's an original song. What's the name of it?
Well, I'm not really sure whether I want to call it Together as One or God Plays Jazz.
That's great. Very good.
all true, either way.
All right. Thank you. Now is our opportunity to think about the offering that we're going to be giving today, whether you're giving it by in the bowl in the back here, or you're on Zoom and you're going to do it via PayPal or however you do it, or mail a check. But let's just think about this offering. How wonderful it is to be able to support this center. These centers, actually. So, let's say this together. I gratefully give from the fullness of my abundance, knowing my gift blesses the center, all in it and beyond, and so it is. So here are the ways that you can give, and let's just think for a moment. Let's just allow ourselves to sit in gratitude. Grateful for all the good that is in our lives. Knowing that absolutely all of it is divine energy. And so we are grateful to ourselves for opening up our consciousness, or opening up our parentheses in eternity, as Joel Goldsmith says. Grateful for ourselves for being willing to be more prosperous, live more prosperously. And grateful for being able to give, to serve in a monetary way. And I know that both the Ukiah Center and the Eureka Center are grateful for this service. Grateful for all the generous gifts given. And so we celebrate spirit, because we know spirit, divine energy, the force, whatever we want to call it, it is the source and substance of all that we have and all that we are. Always has been, always will be. So we thank God for our prosperity and our abundance. I think Terry Cole Whitaker was the one that said, "Thank God we're rich." And so it is. So who wants to read our community statement of inclusion today? Come, Karen. And by the way, Jackson, I actually put the words to the peace sign on a slide for everybody, so.
Yay.
Good. Go for it.
We, the Eureka and Ukiah Centers for Spiritual Living, are communities that celebrate diversity, foster inclusion, champion inner work, and create space for brave, vulnerable conversations. We are communities that honor the unique emanation of God that is each person embodies, and advocate with people for human rights and dignity for all. We are communities that bless each other, see sacredness in all life, remain learners and listeners so we may grow together and understand that oneness is not sameness. We know our beloved community is revealed more fully when we love each other well.
So it is. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let's stand or sit for you Zoomers and do the peace song. And remember, to me, we're doing this as a prayer for our country and for our world. Thank you. And so it is. All right. So are you guys going to play some closing music?